Good afternoon to all. My topic is chaperones. Chaperones are proteins which assist in folding and stabilization of proteins. Chaperones are helper proteins which help in the folding of a newly synthesized polypeptide to its functional structure. These, these only bind to a non-native proteins and also prevent unspecific aggregations. These contain several families like Hitchcock proteins, chaperones, molecular chaperones, etc. And these are present in all organisms from prokaryotic bacteria to eukaryotes, including human. Because all organisms need a functional protein, and these functional protein structure are made with the help of these chaperones. Then, for many years, it was believed that polypeptide would fold spontaneously to its native shape. That is, after translation, polypeptide would fold itself to form its 3D structure. But now it is clear that special helper proteins aids this process, and these helper proteins are known as chaperones. Then the term molecular chaperone. The term molecular chaperone was first used by Ron Lasky in his literature. Here he was describing the nuclear protein called nucleoplasm. This prevented the aggregation of folded histone proteins with DNA during nucleosome assembly. And later, this term was extended to describe proteins which help in the folding of a new polypeptide was done by R. John Ellis in 1987. And in 1988, it was realized that in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes, these chaperones are similar. Then, to the properties of chaperones, the molecular chaperones only interact with unfolded or partially folded proteins. They never interact with a native or complete functional protein. They do not form a part of the final folded protein. That is, these are similar to catalysts. They will only help in the folding of the polypeptide. They never become the part of the final folded protein. Then these prevent non-specific aggregations of protein. That is, after translation, these new polypeptide may fill in the cytoplasmic matrix. So it may cause the improper folding of the proteins and also aggregations to form non-functional complexes. So these aggregations are prevented by these chaperones. Then the folding process always require energy, and this energy is from ATP hydrolysis. So the chaperone processing is always coupled with ATP binding and hydrolysis. Then chaperones have several functions. But now here we are discussing the protein folding function of the chaperone as a post-translational processing. The process is well studied in E. coli, and the key members of chaperones of protein folding are trigger factor DNA-K, DNA-J, GRO-EL, GRO-ES, and Group E. Then, the trigger factor is a characteristic of prokaryotic protein folding. So, to the process, the ribosome associated trigger factor is the initial chaperone in the folding process. Then it is followed by DNA-K chaperone and then the GRO-EL GRO-ES system or the chaperoning system. First of all, in the ribosome itself, the trigger factor encounters the new polypeptide. This chaperone helps to orient the proline residues of the new polypeptide as it have a peptidyl proline isomerase activity. This peptidyl proline isomerase enzyme mediates the cis trans conversion of the peptidyl proline bonds in the polypeptide. So it somewhat bends the primary structure of the polypeptide. Then it will be released from the ribosome. Still, it may be incompletely folded. Then the DNA J and ATP complexed with DNA K binds to it. These attaches to the surface exposed hydrophobic regions of the target peptide. So after this attachment, the DNA J stimulates DNA K to hydrolyze ATP. Then the ATP will be hydrolyzed to ADP, and with this energy, DNA K folds the polypeptide. So after folding, the group E protein will bind to this chaperone polypeptide complex, and it causes the release of ADP from DNA K. Here is the figure. This is the unfolded protein. This is a partially folded protein. So the DNA J and ATP complexed with DNA K will bind to this protein to form this complex structure. Then the DNA J stimulates ATP hydrolysis by DNA K. So the ATP is hydrolyzed to ADP. Then with this energy, DNA K folds the protein subunit. So here occurs the protein folding. Then after protein folding, the group E will be added. So it causes the release of ADP, and also the DNA J will be released. Then again an ATP will bind to the DNA K. It causes the dissociation of the DNA K from the polypeptide. So a native protein will be formed. Then sometimes it may be still partially folded. So at that time, it undergo repeated cycle, or it undergo to the GRO-EL system or the chaperonin system. So the GRO-EL system or the chaperonin system. In E. coli, 10 to 15% cellular protein require this chaperonin system or the GRO-EL system for its complete folding. This is a multi-subunit ring system. Here we can see the figure. This is the top view of the chaperonin system. And this green part is the GRO-EL and the blue part is the GRO-ES. This GRO-ES is like a lid with 7 more units. And this GRO-EL have 2 chambers where the ATP binds, and these 2 chambers each have 7 more units. And this GRO designation is because the chaperonin system was first known to be necessary for the growth of certain bacterial viruses or the bacteriophages. So at that time itself, it is designated as GRO. Then the partially folded protein released from the DNA K will bind to this GRO-EL chamber as to the hydrophobic surface of the GRO-EL chamber. Then the ATP will bind to that chamber. Then the GRO-ES lid will covers the chamber and cap it transiently. So now the protein is trapped inside the chamber. Then after that, GRO-EL undergo conformational changes, and it will be coupled with ATP hydrolysis, and it also regulates the binding and release of GRO-ES. Because these proteins are within the chamber, it also prevents the inappropriate aggregation of proteins. So with the released energy from ATP hydrolysis, protein folding occurs inside the chamber. Then after protein folding, the GRO-ES cap dissociates and the native protein will be released. So if it is still partially folded, it may repeat the cycle or undergo degradation by the chaperones. Here is the figure. This is the partially folded protein and it enters into the GRO-EL chamber, and 7 ATP binds to that chamber. Then after ATP binding, GRO-ES caps the chamber. Then ATP hydrolysis occurs, and from this energy, protein folding occurs inside the chamber. And here we can see another partially folded protein enters into the next chamber of the GRO-EL. At the same time, the native protein or folded protein will be released from the former chamber. And for all partially folded proteins, these cycles repeats. Then in eukaryotes, the analogous chaperoning system is HSP60. So the folding processes are similar in both, but in place of grow ES lid, a protrusion from apical domain close over the chamber. And the ATP hydrolytic cycle is also slower than that of prokaryotes. This is all about the protein folding process. Then the chaperones are more important in prokaryotes than eukaryotes. This is because in eukaryotes there are domains. Domains are 100 to 300 amino acid length polypeptide. So this domain will fold independently before the entire polypeptide is released from the ribosome. While in prokaryotes, the folding occurs only after the entire polypeptide is released. So, in prokaryotes, the chaperone should fold the entire length of the polypeptide. So, it is more important in prokaryotes than eukaryotes. Then other functions of chaperones include protein transport, protect protein from environmental stress, membrane translocation, and protein degradation. First, protein transport. Certain chaperones may prevent protein folding because they should be remain unfolded until they were transported to its target place. So these chaperone help in protein transport. Then protect protein from environmental stress. These include the main class of the chaperone family called heat shock proteins. So these heat shock proteins will be synthesized in cells large amounts under stressed conditions like high heat. So these heat shock proteins protect the protein from denaturation under this condition and also rebound the disturbed proteins to its native shape. Then membrane translocation. These include the chaperones associated with phospholipid layer. So these carry the molecules across the membrane. Then last, protein degradation. These include the chaperone which denature the protein which are not correctly folded until after these protein folding processes. So these are all about chaperones. Chaperones are very important in all organisms to form a functional protein structure. Thank you.